All right, welcome to the Bulldog Breakdown. This is the Notre Dame episode. Hutson Mason, pretty good atmosphere in there last Saturday night.
Yeah, I wasn't at the game. I was actually sitting in a hotel room in Kansas City, but I've said this a couple times this week that even just watching it at home, you could feel the atmosphere, you could feel the energy inside the stadium. And man, I thought the new end zone project renovation with the smoke coming out was super cool. Obviously, the red lights in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I really like the red lights.
But think about, I think Georgia had 8 or 9 5-star, 4-star kids there on the side. I mean, Georgia checked every box from people watching it at home. I think if you're a normal student, all right, put sports aside, if you're a normal kid thinking about going to school somewhere next year, sitting at home watching that atmosphere, don't you sit there on the couch go, man, Georgia is a cool place on Saturday. I want to go be a part of that.
Yeah, and you're hearing a lot of these top recruits also talking about the impact the Georgia crowd makes. So impressed, packing the stadium, showing great passion, really caring about the football program. It's pretty obvious when you see a game like that last Saturday night. So let's talk about the game. Let's start with the offense. So DeAndre Swift, I thought, was a difference maker. Ran tough, didn't have a lot of big runs, missing really the highlight reel play other than leaping over the defender. But Swift was a difference maker in this game.
It was. I thought if Georgia rushed for 150 yards combined as a team, they would have a great chance of winning. They just got past that. I think like $153 is what they rushed for. And then Notre Dame only rushed for about 45 yards. So it took them a while to get going. I thought early on Coley seemed a bit confused. You know, he comes out and he's in 5 wide and they throw the ball the first couple times. And then it seemed like it took them a while offensively to get going. And I think you got to credit Notre Dame. They were prepared. And I think they had been hearing a little bit this week that they weren't as physical. You know, they couldn't handle the line of scrimmage. And so I think a little bit was the lack of commitment from Coley and them to run the football, but also credit Notre Dame for matching the physicality and having a good scheme to stop the run.
Yeah, I would think, though, Coley's thinking, okay, they're going to overplay the run early in the game. Let's take advantage of it. Although getting the ball in space is what he was trying to do. You didn't see him get the ball downfield. Receivers. Thank goodness Lawrence Cager showed up. Turned out to be the go-to guy in this game. That touchdown catch just really phenomenal. Without Cager and Demetrius Robertson, who was limited during the week with his hamstring injury, those two guys stepped up, and thank goodness they stepped up.
Yeah, and, I'm of the belief, Buck, that there's more in the well from this offense. I mean, it's got a ton of weapons, but I think right now it just comes off as though Coley doesn't trust his passing game. I don't know if it's Fromm. It definitely is not Fromm. Fromm's one of the most trustworthy quarterbacks in the country, so I would like to see them trust him more, put the ball in his hand more. But maybe it's the receivers. You know, we've talked about the lack of production coming back this year for the receivers. I thought that showed by Coley not really giving and putting his players in a position to just go make the play. So, look, I'm not going to apologize like a lot of people for finding a way to win. It's the 4th game of the season, and as we saw Georgia last year, you win a couple of these ball games, find a way to win these games in September, and when October and November come around and you start to figure out your strengths and your identity, hopefully this thing offensively becomes a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, I believe Coley looks and says, well, we're relying on Blaylock and we're relying on Pickens, true freshmen, to come in here and play a lot of reps. They're just not ready to do that, in my opinion. And so you got to pick your spots with those guys. Again, thank goodness Robertson and Cager came through, or we could have been in trouble there at the receiver spot. Let's talk about the defense. So we eliminate the run game just with pure numbers. We're rotating guys in the front 7 on and off the field, fitting the run very well, got after them where they couldn't run. They became one-dimensional. Ian Book, I thought, was quality, performed the best that he could in a tough spot. They were asking him to throw it 47 times in the game, the most ever for a Notre Dame quarterback.
That's because they couldn't run the football, and I thought Georgia's front line played really well. I mean, it may not show up in the box score with a ton of sacks, but as you know, there's other ways to wreak havoc on a quarterback. They did a great job containing him. His legs were taken out of the game. I mean, he really did not pose a threat or make, many big plays with his legs. Couple throws over the middle to Kmet, that tight end. But other than that, I mean, this is a defense that really didn't give up a touchdown. You had a muff punt by Tyler Simmons in a short field sudden change situation, but I thought the defense played spectacular, and you had one of your best DBs go out in the first possession of the game. So credit those guys, the depth. I thought they got after Ian Book, and it just felt like he was in a hard time getting into a rhythm all night.
Yeah, Big 99 didn't show up on the stat sheet, but took on those double teams, turned the inside linebackers loose. You had Rice and the other inside linebacker combining for like 16 tackles in the game. I thought the key was the Georgia backup cornerbacks held up in a tough spot. You got these Notre Dame receivers, 6'4", 220 pounds. You got Ian Book, a quality quarterback that can extend plays. And when Stokes went down, you had Tyreek McGee inserted the outside cornerback spot opposite DJ Daniel. They played well, and then you saw Devod Wilson come in, make a big play in the game with the strip, interception. Looks like he's going to be playing a lot more.
How about that interception from J.R. Reed, too? Notre Dame tried to run a flea flicker, get a big play. And, I mean, to concentrate, make the catch, get your feet down, falling out of bounds. And that was a huge turnover. Notre Dame was driving right there. I think that was early in the fourth quarter. Just an impressive. We've talked about those two safeties for Georgia are as good as they get in the safety position for J.R. Reed and Richard LeCounte. I thought defense was the story tonight. Defense really won you the ball game.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, talk about what's going on during the bye week, look ahead, what's ahead for the Georgia Bulldogs. Here on the Bulldog Breakdown.
Estamos activos, mi gente. Un día en a row.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Breakdown, the Notre Dame episode. Special teams quickly. Rodrigo Blankenship is as close to automatic as anything I've seen since Kevin Butler was kicking field goals at Georgia. He is just amazing with what he's doing at the place kicker spot.
He's a quarterback's best friend. He's offensive coordinator's best friend. I mean, when you have a weapon, when you get over the 50, you feel like anywhere on the field, you've got 3 automatic points. He's perfect on the season, perfect on PATs. The punting situation was a bit hit or miss with Jake Camargo, who came into the game 5th best in the country, averaging 50 yards per punt, but a couple shanks that really put the Notre Dame offense in a good spot with field position. So hopefully that gets better. And lucky it didn't cost. And that kid's good. He was the number 2 overall punter in the 2018 class. He can boot the ball. It just, for whatever reason, mechanically was a little off.
So the big mistake, Tyler Simmons' punt return, lays it on the turf. Notre Dame immediately is going to score. It took him about 6-7 plays to get in the end zone. But you eliminate that miscue, and Notre Dame barely shows up on the scoreboard. Blaylock's done a good job of catching the punts.
Yeah.
That might be his job looking forward.
Yeah, it could be, and I think what Blaylock has that Simmons doesn't have is that top-end speed. I mean, you saw Blaylock get going a couple times. And first is you got to catch it. That's the most important thing. But number 2, the dynamic ability to, can you hit the crease, can you get around the wall and go. You saw Blaylock a couple times on one of those speed sweeps that called back for a holding call. Boy, he can run.
So bye week this week, a little downtime. I think it comes at a good time. Georgia needs to heal up. They got a lot of guys dinged up. Kirby's calling it a work week, not a bye week. So the guys that are healthy are going to be putting in some serious work, getting ready for Tennessee coming up.
It's a bye week for the fans to recover from the partaking in all those alcoholic drinks. I think
it was a late night.
The Georgia fans need a week off. Their liver needs a week off.
Yeah, great atmosphere, world class, most viewed game of the season in football, period. Georgia should get a big boost out of this victory over Notre Dame. I see them improving rapidly with this boost of confidence they got coming off this top 10 win. So that'll do it for this Bulldog Breakdown. We'll be back next week previewing the Tennessee Volunteers game.